I welcome you in this session. Topic of this session is concept of project. Basically, this session is a part of the course project analysis. And in this session, we will learning about the meaning of the project. Then what are the different features of the project? From that, we can identify any activity as a project. Then we also stabilize the a link between the planning and project. So sometimes we misunderstood that the plan and project are the same, but there is a difference between the plan and project. So this is the agenda. We will discuss about the meaning of the project, then features of the project, then we will establish a link between planning and projects. Let us start with the meaning of the project. Projects are the building block of an investment plan. If you want to take any investment activity for any purpose, like for the development of the country, for development of the agriculture sectors, and for developing an infrastructure, so we have to take a number of projects in a plan or in a program. So or if a government want to start a new policy in agriculture sectors, and in that policy we have to form a number of the projects. So projects are basically a building block of an investment plan, and the plan cannot be good if its constitute part the project are faulty. So in a plan or in a policy, we have to prepare a number of the projects. If projects are not good, we can't say the plan or projects are the plan or policy is good. And if projects are faulty, the policy or program are faulty. Then let us move to the meaning of the project. Basically, it involves spending of capital resources to create productive assets. So basically in the project, there are two things are there. One, we have to spend some capital resources, money, the capital resources we have to spend. Then we have to invest this money, we have to invest capital resources to create the productive assets. So here purpose is not to get some short term activity, it is a long term activity, we can say. Actually we want to generate some productive assets, and this assets then actually give returns over a number of years. Suppose we want to invest some money to purchase a tractor in a farm, then this tractor will be useful for 10 years, 15 years. So basically it is a long term project, the return is for a long terms. And actually, and then assets is basically which is tied to the life of the most constantly resource. Suppose in a project, basically we have purchased 5 machinery, and the life of one machinery is 5 years, and the life of another machinery is the 10 year. So project life will be of 5 years duration. Then agriculture project basically is an investment activity in which financial resources are expended to create capital assets that produce benefit over an extended period of time. So we undertake some investment activity, and from that we create some capital assets, and from that capital assets we take the benefits for a period of time. Now we can define the project basically. So there are 3-4 definitions we can learn from this session. And the project is an investment activity meant for providing the returns for a specific clientele group, for a specific activity, specific objective, and specific area development. So this is the active specific investment. Project is basically activity specific investment, clientele specific investment, the objective specific investment, or we can say specific area development specific investment activity. So it has targeted to a certain clientele group, certain area, or a certain period of time. So this is, we can say, a project. So, and this project basically facilitated analysis in planning, financing, implementing, monitoring, controlling, and evaluation. So project is basic things, or we can building block. So it help in the planning, the financing, or implementation of the country's program of the development as a whole. Then another definition of the project, we can say like a project is a proposal for an investment to create, expand, and or develop certain facilities in order to increase the production of goods and services in a community during a certain period of time. So it is a basically proposal of investment project. We can say it is a proposal of investment to create the certain facility in order to increase the production of the goods and services in a community, and during the fixed period of time. Furthermore, for evaluation purpose, a project is a unit of investment which can be distinguished technically, commercially, and economically from other investments. So, in any investment activity, basically is a unit of investment, and which has to be technically or commercially or economically has to be distinguished from similar activity or other investment activity in the area. Then another definition of the project is in an activity for which money will be spent in an expectancy of the returns, on which logically seems to lend itself to planning, financing, and implementation as a unit. So in the project activity or in the project, basically we do some investment, we spend some money, and return is the expectation is that we will get some return which fund this investment activity, which fund this expenditure we are going to make, or actually it will return some benefit, some profit, or some return. From that return we will run this project. So this is basically investment activity to plan some activities, then we will get some money out of return out of that activity, and that return will actually provide finance for in the future activity which are going to be taken place in the project. These are the smallest operational element prepared and implemented as a separate entity in a national plan. So, in the national plans, we prepare different projects. So, these are the actually small units of the, you can say, national plan, we can say. They are the specific activity with the specific starting point and a specific ending point intended to accomplish specific objectives. So, project basically they have the a specific starting date, specific ending date, and they want to have accomplishment of specific objectives and unique activity. Basically, they are the projects are the unique activity, noticeably different from the preceding similar investment, and it is likely to be different from the succeeding one. So every project are a unique project. They are the unique activity which are different from the projects which we have already implemented in the society, and the similar project which are going on in the different area or in other area, or the project will come in the futures, because every project has some unique features, some risk factors are there, some different geo or socio-economic conditions are there. So that's why every project is a unique project. Then this is another definition of the project. Basically, a project is an investment of change. So here there is a dynamic element in the project definition. It is a coordinated series of actions resulting from a policy decisions to change resource combinations and levels so as to contribute to the realization of the country development objectives. So basically in the project, what we do based on the policy prescription, we do the recombination of the resource distribution or resource utilization to get the country's objective of development, we can say. So there are two different aspects in the earlier in three definition we have seen the project as an investment activity, but here in this definition project is a dynamic activity or dynamic elements. Then in the project generally we see there are two type of expenditure we have. One is the production expenditure, another is the investment activity. So in the production expenditure, these are the very short term expenditure, basically like on the fertilizer, pesticides in agriculture sector. These are the expenses used up in a single crop season. So these are the working capital, we can say, into to purchase the seed, to purchase the fertilizer, to purchase the pesticides which are used in a single crop season. But in the investment activity, which is like if you want government want to prepare a dam, or government want or a farmers want to purchase a tractor, or a processing industry they want to develop a new building, or in the farm actually we want to develop a shed for the animal, and or a farmers want to prepare or he want to purchase new breeding herd, These are the basically investment activities. In this investment activity, the returns are realized over a period of time. So in the single crop season, basically we made the production. So after 3 months or 4 months, we will get some return. But in case of investment activities, the benefits or the returns will be realized over a number of period time. The returns will generate for many years. Sometimes 5 years. For in case of tractor, we can say 10 years. For breeding herd, we can say 20 years. So so we will get the return for a period of time. So whenever we decide about or whenever we talk about this project aspect or project concept, or we want to start a new project activity, we always keep the government always keep in mind the country's development objectives. In what way government want to have a development in the countries for particular sector, in agriculture sector. If they want that the income of the farmers should be doubled in few years. So this is the basic objectives, and then we have to identify, we have to see what are the resources, whether resources is available or not for doubling the farmers income, that we have to see. Then what are the different options, like here we can see that how we can increase the farmers income by through reducing the cost of cultivation, or through increasing the prices of the farm produce. So in this way, the government have different alternatives, and based on that alternative, they decide the priorities, which projects should be taken up in the country. They now move to the features of the project. Basically, features of projects, like there are some unique features related to projects which are unique to every project. Like size of the product evaluated. Every project is evaluated separately, and the projects are considered and evaluated at all levels, and we will discuss more about in the next slides. Then and the same evaluation technique should be used at all levels, and all the project, public or private, need to be analyzed, the biological nature of the agriculture project. These are some features related to agriculture project, we can say. Now we will discuss each features of the projects, like size of the project. When we talk about the size of the project should be as small as possible, and should also be economically, technically, and administratively feasible. So we should not prepare very large size of the project. It should be as possible as small, so that we can manage and them economically, technically, and administratively, or this project should be feasible to operate in the actual field. A number of projects could be formed in a program, and this entire program could be like big policy aspect, or big policy, or any plan, basically like 5-year plan. So entire 5-year plan could be analyzed as a single unit. That is, the possibility is there. But there are when we analyze, or when we evaluate complete program as a one unit, there is always risk that high returns from one component or one project would mask the low return from the other component or other projects. So if there are 5 projects in a program, if there are good return from the 2 projects, and there are not good result, or we can say there are loss in another 3 projects, but in that condition, what happen when we analyze the complete program as a one unit? So these 2 projects who are giving the benefit will mask the loss of the other 3 projects. So so that's why the size of the project should be small, and it should be evaluated separately, and the individual component or project should be analyzed separately. Then second feature of the project is every project should be evaluated separately. We have also discussed right now. A project is basically an investment activity that can be separated into parts, and each of these can be defined as a project. Like we have the project to increase the supply of vegetable crops vegetables in a particular vicinity of the urban area. So how we can do? There may be different, like developing the transportation system for that area, developing the cold storage for that area, developing the marketing place for that area. So these three components can be of different projects. So generally what happens, close related projects should not be considered separately, as one cannot operate or fulfill its purpose without the other. Like most important example we can see, like dam and a main canal to distribute water cannot be considered as a two separate project, as one part cannot work without the other. So here in this way we can say, if projects are very closely related, or one project cannot operate without the help of other projects, this project should be considered at one unit, and they should be evaluated in one unit. Then projects evaluation at all levels. The project are considered and evaluated at all levels, from a junior levels to the planning commission or the worldwide or any funding agency. Suppose we have different levels in any programs, like the central level, the state level, at the district level. And so say, this project component, or even the local levels, is the village level. So the project should be evaluated at all levels. It should be also be evaluated at the village level. It should also be evaluated at the district level. It should also be evaluated at the state level. It should also be evaluated at the central level. So they are also be evaluated at all depth, and ranging from the mere inspection by the expert to use of the programming technique and sensitive guesswork prediction. So the depth of the evaluation may be different. Sometimes we have mere inspection, or sometimes we go for programming techniques to evaluate the project. Then small evaluation, same evaluation techniques we should follow while evaluating at different places and different levels. So same evaluation techniques should be used to achieve consistent decisions at all levels and at all times of evaluation. The junior engineer or settlement planners should be guided by the same rules and methods that are used in the final appraisal. So, when we want to have evaluation of the project at the district level, or we want to have evaluation project at the state level, so the methodology should be same for the evaluation, so that we can aggregate the results of the different district into the state level results. So it is difficult to practice the same in those projects where the aim is to maximize the social advantage for whole the country. But sometimes it is also very difficult to operate in the project where the objective is to maximize the social advantage, because sometimes the local conditions are different, socioeconomic conditions are there, the enterprises are different. So in that condition, there may be some difference in the evaluation methodology. Then all project need to be analyzed, whether at the public sector level project or private sector project, all should be analyzed in the evaluation process. And private sector projects, they should be also analyzed. Actually they help to the government to approve such project and grant financial assistance. And actually they provide the information whether the establishment of a particular type of industry in a particular area is giving some results, or giving the employment to that area or not. So from the evaluation, if government see that there is some positive results are coming from this private project, the government can sanction or can provide some support for similar project in other areas. So in the public sector project also should be evaluated, and certain public sector enterprises may not yield the commercial profit, but they want some subsidy from the government. So based on the evaluation only, government can decide whether subsidy given to this public sector project or not. So like new provision of for subsidy can be done in the plan documents based on the evaluation of the projects, that is the possible. Then biological nature of the agriculture projects. This is the another very important concept, or very important features of the agriculture project. And the biological nature of the agriculture project differentiate the agriculture projects from the projects of other economic sectors. And these features of agriculture projects make it harder to predict input output relation, because there is always some risk and uncertainty is there in the agriculture project. We cannot predict, we cannot forecast the rainfall condition, or we cannot uh, predict the pest conditions. So always some risk is there in agriculture projects. That's why it is very difficult to predict the input-output ratio in agriculture project. Now, a little more about the project actually, and how the project start. The project concept. Now we will discuss how the project concept, and this project concept, which is basically a project idea, is a part of the project cycle. So in project cycle, we have different stages like identification, the preparation, even the implementation, then monitoring, supervision, evaluation. There are different stages. So before starting the identification of a project, before that we have to develop some project idea. Before that we have to develop some project concept. So development of project concept is prerequisite to the decisions to proceed with the next stage of the identification in a project cycle, and express the country development objective in the form of project. So actually a broad idea, a vague idea has to be developed about the country development objectives, and some activity has to be planned. So it's broad, very broad or rough idea is basically, we can say, the project concept. So actually project concept is basically a thorough understanding of the country agricultural objectives, development objectives. We can say it's resource based, and an assessment of the option of the facing the problem facing the country should be known. So in for developing the project concept, we should have the thorough knowledge of the agriculture objective of the country, its resource base, and then we have to also see what are the options available in the country to remove to eradicate the problems in the agriculture sector. So that's why the complete knowledge of the sector is required to have to develop the project concept. And then actually there is always a question: should the country invest in the irrigated agriculture, or should go for the rain-fed agriculture? This is the example as to for development of the project concept, how we develop the project concept. So to find the answer, actually sectoral survey covering both irrigated area and rain-fed agriculture can be done, and from that survey it help in identification of the constraints and potential for the development. So from the sectoral survey we can find out what are the constraints available in the irrigated agriculture, what are the constraints available in the rain-fed agriculture, and we can find the potential of the development based on the study. And then we should go for privatization. What are the actual need in the country? Like within agriculture sector, we have to do some privatization. Then we have to go privatization among the subsectors like agriculture sector, livestock sector, the forestry sector, and institutional and support services such as agriculture credits, research, extension, marketing, storage. They also be looking while developing the project concept, and this actually all this the sectoral study then privatizes is help in the allocation of the resources to reach to the concept of to developing the activities, or to formulate a project concept. Then how to evolve agricultural project concept? Should evolve through the process of the prioritization and the selection and screening. So we have to follow the process of 3 steps, we can say. When we have to do some study, then we can go for prioritization, then we have to identify or select some good option, and then we can go screening of the different project. So here again the agriculture sector survey should be done, and this help in the assessment of the priorities and development of the project ideas, and helpful in the identifying of specific projects for the investment. And the project idea are mostly developed on an ad hoc basis. This project idea, whole idea is basically a temporary phenomena. When the project is over, and the every process will be over. So, and we can get the ideas for the project concept from the borrower countries, and the consultants are there in the national level, and some engineering firms, they can suggest about some infrastructure development activity. And then official of the donor countries like World Bank, they can suggest some activities, or sometimes bilateral agency on brief visit to a country, they suggest some activities for the development of the country. They now move to the relationship between plan and project. There is a this both the things are very closely related. Project selection and planning are closely connected. The planning is usually done at the central level. The central government or state government, they do the planning for the country, for the economy, for a particular sector, and it is expected that projects could be selected for implementation from at the center. Sometimes, when we are planning, the government is planning some activities, so the government that time also it is expected that they should select some project. However, all the project need not to be centrally planned and may be delegated to the departments, municipality or public companies. Sometimes they simply allocate some resources and they can give the freedom. The government give the freedom to the departments. So they plan the activities and implement the activity in your area for the benefit of the common people. And the large projects sometimes must be selected or must be scrutinized at the center levels, uh, and also it should be fitted into the investment program of the country. So now in the next stage of the plan project relationships, the plan required project. In every plans, they need some projects and they need the information related to projects. So sound plan needs knowledge of the existing or potential projects. They need an extent of realism of the plan depend on the rate which good projects can be planned, designed, built, and brought to the capacity utilization. So success of any plan is depend on how good projects are developed and implemented in the country. So knowledge of the capital output ratio in other economy is essential to prepare the to identify the good projects for a particular plan. So we need to have information about the cost benefit analysis or capital output ratio basically, or sometimes we need to have a appraisal of the already implemented project within the country for developing a plan. Then selection of best plan is the very important things, and for selection of the best plan we need the projects. A number of feasible plans may be developed, but choosing the best among them is a very difficult and while planning, while developing the plan, there are different options in the plan. Also in the a number of plans can be developed, like in the first 5-year plans, the focus was on the agriculture. Then second 5-year plan focus on the industry. So there is always some choices there where the plan should focus more. So the government continuously try to direct investment to those sectors where it will yield the most in order to reach the optimum plan. So sometimes the government thinks agriculture sector will give better results, so they will invest more. They will plan more project in agriculture sector. So for optimal allocation of the resources among different sectors, it is essential that the cost and benefit of the different project in a sector should be assessed on a comparable basis. Then projects require plans. Economic appraisal is undertaken to find out the feasible project for implementation. So before undertaking a project, we should have some studies or economic appraisal of the project. So knowledge of plan help in analyzing the economic approval of the project. Actually, in the plan, some target is given or some target is given. So based on that we can analyze the project, or we can do the economic appraisal of the project. Demand for project products depend upon the long term plan or policy of the government. Like the plan is focusing more on the in the use of IT in the country. So the demand for the product or IT product projects related to the IT projects related to the product of the IT related projects will be dependent on the plan. That plan is focusing more on the IT sectors in the countries. The total demand of the product can be met either by domestic production or through the import, and the government policy with respect to the tariffs, exchange rates, and import controls would affect the supply in the meeting the total demand. The cost of the project depend also on the scarcity of the resources, and scarcity change as per the development proceeds or as per the development plan. And prospective plan actually help us to guess the how scarcity will change. So that's why the projects also need the plan to plan the good project in a country. Now we can sum up this session that project is an investment activity which creates assets for the produces the benefits of which produce the benefit over a number of years. A project is an investment unit for the development, and it is also interrelated with plan of the country. That is difficult to say, which is dependent on the other. Thank you very much.